I have been in the field for more than 40 years. When I was graduate as a medical doctor in 1974, announcing to a patient a diagnosis of cancer was a death sentence. And I really feel extremely lucky to have the chance to see throughout my medical career, my professional life, so much change and improvement for the patient. Cancer is no longer a death sentence. And we have great hope because we are curing a lot of patients. And for the others, we dramatically improve their quality of life.
It is something more of a lived with condition like diabetes or...
Yes, we have to learn to live with cancer as a chronic disease. And this is going to be more and more in the future with the discovery of more effective treatment.
So yes, on to the next question of how do we deal with good news and bad news in terms of...
Yes, depends the type of cancer. You know, there are more than 100 types of cancer. Announcing a diagnosis of leukemia in a child is something totally different than lung or pancreatic cancer. Today, we are curing more than 80% of children with cancer. We are curing 90% of patients with Hodgkin disease, 99% of testicular cancer, and so on and so on. Still, for some cancer, it remains a very life-threatening condition. And so making the announcement has to be adapted to the situation and the patient, but it's still putting a lot of pressure, stress and anxiety to the patient, but also to his family.
How would you rate the involvement of patient advocates and charities in terms of kind of communication and education for patients when they receive that diagnosis that this isn't the death sentence it used to be?
This is also a very good initiative that I lived through during my medical career, because those approaches did not exist in the 70s, involving patients in reviewing protocols, in explaining what it is to be part of clinical trials. And here I would like to really highlight the involvement of the patient, like for example in EORTC, where I have been Director General for 25 years, there are hundreds, thousands of patients who trusted us, who accepted to be part of an experimentation of a clinical trial. And if we are here today with curing so many patients, it is thanks to their involvement as well and to the trust they put in us, clinical investigators. So that is really important, the impact of the patient involvement, patient empowerment. And also cancer charities who have realized that the patient needs support and that education of the patient on methodology, for example, of clinical research is also important. This is also something that EORTC has been very keen to do for the last 40 years, is specific course dedicated to patients on methodology, does it mean to be in a clinical trials and so on.
And then on to the final question of addressing and overcoming challenges for cancer survivors.
On the one hand, we are curing patients. We, medical doctors, investigators, have done the job. But now we are facing new challenges. The society has to follow, has to understand. Some patients may get difficulty to get or to keep their job. They may have financial difficulty to get a mortgage, to buy a home, to buy an enterprise if you are an entrepreneur. And so all of the insurance is also a key issue. I am organizing EORTC Cancer Survivorship Program for research program and also Survivorship Summit. And we have huge testimony from many former patients who tell us, I never get mortgage, I never get life insurance or medical insurance for 40 years. A Hodgkin patient cured and treated for 40 years without a single medical insurance. So there it's a huge challenge for the society to make the bank, the entrepreneur, the employer, and the legal framework to be adapted to those new needs, because it's very nice to be cured, but you are asking to live a normal life. And it's not only physical and medical aspects of sterility or fertility or secondary tumor or toxicity on your lung, on your heart because you have been irradiated, for example. It is also societal issue of having access to jobs, insurance, coverage, and so on. And this is really my contribution to the last part of my medical profession, if you want.
Okay, well that covers all of the questions that you were sent. Was there anything else you'd like to mention, or?
Yes, I think it's a very difficult task what I am addressing myself, to change society. And in France, they have a new law since 2016, la loi droit à l'oubli, meaning that for a patient who have been cured of cancer, 10 years after the treatment, the patient by law doesn't have to say to the insurance that he had cancer. Or the insurance, even if the insurance knows, cannot take into account the fact that the patient had cancer. And for a child, it's 5 years. And I think this law is really moving in the right direction. And one of my dreams, and you have to have projects and dreams in life, would be that the legal framework change at the pan-European level. It's a huge task, I realize. But I am dedicated to try to work to make sure that the legal framework also follow the medical success.